welcome to another episode of The Best Is Yet to Come. I am your girl, Stephanie, and tonight we have another show lined up for you. However, before we get into the show, I would like to say thank each and every one of you that sent out your blessings, well wishes to me in my absence on last week. And I also want to thank you all for the love that you showed my co-host that did the takeover last week. Within 12 hours, they got like over 4,000 views, and that was just on one platform. And that just brings me to what I would like to say tonight. Like my guest tonight, when you hear her story, each person that has been on this platform have shared their story with the audience. It's not just enough for them to share their story. They have a cause that they are dedicated to. Like Mr. Conway have Out for Good, Mr. Bennett has Yard Time Entertainment, even my first guest, Mrs. Soon-to-be Dr. Reed Barnes, has a cause. It's not just enough. I do appreciate you all watching the show, and I ask that you continue to watch. But if you're in a position to help further their cause, because they are definitely giving back to the community, I ask that you please do that. They should not have to compete with larger companies that they are putting in even more work than some of these larger companies. So that is my piece for tonight. Before we jump into the show, like I said, my guest tonight, what can I say about her? I met her maybe about 3 months now that we've been knowing one another. And she and I was talking, and she started sharing her story with me. Well, let me just say, we talked again this evening, and she shared some things with me that my first reaction was, I can't do this. I cannot do this. And then this little voice inside of me say, what, did you think this was a joke? You think that this is not real? This is what you are called to do. So, of course, I was not going to give up. But it just goes further to, it's important that not only do you watch, if you're in a position to help these causes, please do. Well, without further ado, I would like to introduce Miss Ursel Hughes. Welcome to The Best Is Yet to Come.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm honored to be a part of your show. I'm truly honored. Thank you for asking me.
Yes, and thank you for accepting. So where do we begin?
Wow. I'm no different.
Let the audience know who you are.
So, my name is Ursel Hughes. I am a survivor of active addiction, a survivor of human trafficking, a survivor of exploitation. I mentor women and men. I advocate for women and men. My passion is mothers in recovery. So I want mothers that are in recovery to maintain their recovery so they can keep their children and keep the family as a whole. Because I made mistakes and I walked away from my children in my active addiction. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay. Now, what are you doing? I know you say you work with women, you work with men. What are you currently doing right now?
So I'm a certified recovery coach.
Okay.
Hired through BMC's Graken Center.
Okay.
And we provide recovery coaching services. Our program is called Rapid Access. And we just meet the patients where they're at.
Okay.
Active addiction, early recovery, in treatment. We meet them where they're at. And we try to empower them.
Okay.
I'm a little unorthodox.
Yes, you are. But you get the job done.
I feel like if I tell somebody their reality, they have no choice but to look at it.
Okay.
I can't baby, I can't coddle, because it's somebody's life that is in place.
Okay.
And if I coddle you, you know, I'm not being honest with you. And I pride myself on being honest and direct.
Okay.
I try to say what I mean and mean what I say.
Okay.
So some people appreciate it, and some be like, yeah, that's not for me.
Okay. But you feel that your style and your mechanism do reach people?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I can sit on the ground next to somebody. It bothers me when people are at their lowest point and somebody who supposedly tried to help is kind of standing over them.
Okay.
It's a power differential. So, I know when it happened for me, I thought the person was looking down on me and judging me.
Okay.
So I don't have a problem sitting on the ground next to somebody.
Okay.
I don't like all my clothes to get dirty, but usually when I sit down next to somebody, I can reach them better. They hear what I'm saying and not just listen.
Okay.
So it hits their spirit differently.
Okay. So it's clear, if I understand you correctly, your own experiences that you've gone through enables you to reach people that maybe someone else could not reach.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, could you share a little more about your experiences and things that you have gone through and the things that you've overcame and how you overcame those things?
Wow. So I'm Dorchester bred. However, there was some childhood trauma. I felt like, I couldn't say anything. I felt like I didn't have that safe person. So I looked for love in all the wrong places.
Okay.
And looking for love in all the wrong places took me, back then it was the combat zone.
Okay.
And I got really swept up by the lights and the Cadillacs and all the older men with the jewelry and the fine clothes, and that just tickled my fancy and excited me. And someone called me sweetheart, and I was just like all in.
Okay.
And that cost me 27 years of my life.
Wow.
I left home at 14 years old.
Wow.
And I've seen the whole United States from the back of a car.
Okay.
I've been in state to state, on track, on whole stroll, if you want to call it. I've done some things that are not necessarily my prideful moments.
Okay.
However, those moments have shaped me into the person I am today. So I lived a very reckless and unhealthy lifestyle. Drugs were introduced, and
Now, can I ask you, at what age was drugs? Because you said that you left home at 14 and you started living, this life and the life, as some people, say. At what age were you introduced to drugs?
I want to say I was introduced to drugs about 15 years old.
Okay.
And it was powder cocaine. So, I sniffed cocaine, and I thought it was real fun because I could be up all night. I could hang with the best of them.
Okay.
And I had all this energy. And the disease of addiction progresses very slowly in some people. So I became this functional person who sniffed coke.
Okay.
You would never know. I just have all this energy, and I could keep going like the Energizer Bunny. And I lived like that for a while. I have a son, and my addiction has cost me my relationship with him.
Okay.
And he was born in Florida, and I stayed in Florida, and I tried to stop using cocaine. I tried to come out of the lifestyle. His father was murdered, but I didn't know how to come home to where it was safe because I had ran from home.
Okay.
So I stayed down there for a year. I tried to get a square job. That didn't make a whole lot of money, so I turned back to the lifestyle. Eventually things got really rough and I wanted to come home.
Now, at what age, so that the audience can kind of follow you?
Okay, so I lived in Florida up until I was 23 years old.
Okay. Now, you went there when you were what age?
I lived in Florida for 8 years, so I went there about probably 16.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And like I said, I thought it was fun. And I fell in love with this man who was older than me. So I didn't think that selling my body and selling myself short and prostituting myself in different ways was a problem because he loved me. And I loved him. So, you know, I'm going to stand by my man. I'm going to hold my man down regardless.
Okay.
Regardless if there's 5 other women holding that same man down. You know, that's just part of the lifestyle.
Right.
And I lived like that, and I thought it was truly, truly okay. My son was born. About 4 months after my son was born, his father was murdered. And I stayed down there, age 23. You know, today I know it's humility. Back then, I thought it was, you know, a dog with his tail between its legs. But I humbled myself.
Okay.
And I asked my mom if I could come home. And the only reason she allowed me to come back to her house was because my son was her first grandchild.
Okay.
And he was born on her birthday.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, you can bring my grandbaby home. Not you can come home. Bring my grandbaby home. That was an open door for me. Came back to Boston. I got on DTA. But, you know, I got hooked up with some old friends, and they were sniffing coke, and I joined right back in.
Okay.
But it was all fun then. I wasn't prostituting myself again. I kind of stepped away from the lifestyle for a little bit. And, you know, I thought I was home at my mother's. I had a live-in babysitter. And that was fine for about a month.
Okay.
Until my mother said, like, he's your child,
Right.
not mine.
Right.
And I was like, well, you're his grandmother, blah, blah. And it became a tug of war. And I said to my mother, well, fine, you don't want me here? She never said those words. I said, you don't want me here because it was my excuse to go and do what I want to do.
Okay.
So I took my child, think I was going to make her feel guilty. Yep, that didn't work. Go ahead, take your child. So now I'm bouncing from pillar to post because I'm homeless with a year-old child. Still looking for love in all the wrong places because I don't love me. I don't even like me.
Now stop for a moment. Why do you think it is that you didn't like you or love you? And when did you come to the realization that you felt that you didn't like you or love you?
I didn't come to the realization till about probably almost 13 years ago.
Okay.
But I felt different from a little girl.
Okay.
You know how they have generational traumas? And I am part of a generational trauma.
Okay.
But I couldn't understand it then. All I knew internally that there was something, or I felt like there was something wrong with me. And nobody would talk about it.
Right.
So, you know, I want to say my first fantasy was TV. I liked the Brady Bunch, Leave It to Beaver, all those nucleus families, because that's
Something
what
you
I wanted.
Long for, right?
Yeah. And you know, I got a little melanin in me today, but I was real fair skinned when I was younger, so you know, I kind of was like, oh, I'm just like them. No. But I carried that internally and didn't know, because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So I looked for love in all the wrong places. I put myself in situations to where only by God's grace am I alive today to speak and to share about it. But I bounced from pillar to post with my son, right? And God, my higher power stepped in. Like I choose to call my higher power God.
Okay. I'm with you on that.
God stepped in and actually got me an apartment. So not for me, but for this child, this little being that I'm responsible for. That I have.
Now let me stop you for a moment. Now what was that like? You said that you did not like yourself or love yourself, but you're responsible for this little person. How was that at your age?
It was uncomfortable.
Okay.
Because I called him my road dog,
Okay.
not my son or my child.
Okay.
Because he was always with me.
Okay.
I didn't have nobody else.
Okay.
And he loved me unconditionally.
Okay.
Like I was mommy and he loved me. He would look at me and I could see the love in his eyes.
Mm.
So he was my road dog. Where I went, he went.
Okay.
Even when I looked for love in all the wrong places and I might go to somebody's house, I had my road dog with me. I would just put him in a different room.
Okay.
The things that I did, yeah. So we'll fast forward. And I got an apartment. Still looking for love in all the wrong places, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how I met this gentleman because he was in jail. I met him. We started writing. I went to visit him. Oh, you getting out soon, honey? You can come home to me. He sure did. Wouldn't get a job. Laid on his butt. Had another woman in my house. I caught them having sex in my bed. And something in me snapped. And I set the bed afire.
Okay.
Nobody got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, something snapped. I set the bed afire. And then I got a moment of clarity because my son is in the back room. So I got to put the fire out now, and I tell him to get out. But because I don't have anybody that loves me like my son does,
Mm-hmm.
I go back.
To the guy.
To the guy.
Okay.
Just looking for love. And I ended up pregnant with my oldest daughter. Now, I'll own, right,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't have good sense. I'll own that.
Well, that was then.
And I still own it because there's some times that I don't have clarity. But back then, I definitely didn't have good sense. So I told him I'm pregnant. And he said, have an abortion. Excuse me? So this gentleman, who will remain nameless,
Mm-hmm.
Has a permanent slice mark right here down the middle of his head because I took it upon myself and I tried to injure him. He just happened to duck. And that's when it was time for me to completely let go.
Okay.
I had my daughter. I used a little cocaine here and there with her. And when I had her, her lungs were underdeveloped.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have to walk around with a nebulizer treatment. I used to have to give her breathing treatments every 4 hours till her lungs got strong enough. And I got one little one on a hip and a machine. And now I want to get frustrated. But all these are my consequences for my actions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm angry with them.
Now, where was your support system? Did you have support in place, or who was there to help you?
Nobody.
Okay.
And so, let me correct that. I believe, looking back from today,
Mm-hmm.
I believe my support had always been there. I just didn't let them support me.
Okay.
You know, because I'm grown.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I know some stuff when I didn't know anything.
Okay.
So anybody that might have reached out to me, I pushed them away by either being disrespectful. Oh, it's not either. Just by being disrespectful.
Okay.
So I was so disrespectful, people didn't want to deal with me. And at the time, I was okay with that.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you, looking back in hindsight, do you feel that the disrespect came as a mechanism to protect yourself because if I understand you correctly, and even from some of the conversations that you and I have had, prior to now, you too have gone through hurt and pain inflicted by others that should have taken care of you. Do you feel that some of that disrespect could have came, from a place of you trying to protect yourself?
In hindsight, yeah.
Okay.
What I've learned is hurt people hurt people.
Right.
So I'm hurting internally in 50 million different ways. I have millions of fractures, personality fractures, spiritual fractures, few fractures in my soul. So I'm hurting and I don't know how to express it. So yeah, I hurt others or made others feel bad because I was feeling bad.
Right. Okay. Now, so you don't have the support that you feel. You have 2 children, a machine. Continue your story.
I can laugh about it today because I trudged along. I started sniffing coke again on a regular basis as a way to cope and to kind of keep up with life. And then I started sniffing coke at home with the kids in the house. And I thought it was okay because there was food in the refrigerator, their clothes were clean, they were fed, the house was clean, so there's no problem.
Right.
And I lived like that for a couple of years. No problem. I have DTA, and, then I got this little position, and it was a stipend, so I got extra money. So the extra money went towards the coke, and this money is for the bills and to keep the house afloat. And, so I thought I was okay. And then I moved from that development in Roxbury, which was Academy Homes 2, before they tore it down and rebuilt it. So we had the catwalk, which was a dangerous place to be, But when I'm on coke, I can walk through there and dare somebody to, because nothing's going to happen to me because I'm invincible, because I'm high out of my mind. When I moved from there, I moved into an apartment, which I fell in love with. And my kids were happy. They were going to school. And then
So now the kids are older. What age are they at now?
So Robert had to be probably like 7.
Okay.
And Tonia's like 3.5.
Okay.
So they went to a school in Dorchester, and I would walk them to school. Like, it was a 15-minute walk. We would skip and play and talk, and I would just be trying to hurry up and get them to school so I could go back home and sniff some coke.
Okay.
And somehow or another, my neighbor downstairs introduced me to crack cocaine. I happened to go downstairs and knock on her door one day, and she was high out of her mind. And I was like, "Girl, what's wrong with you?" She was like, "I just took a hit." I was like, "What?" I was real naive. She was like, "You want to try it?" I said, "If it's got me looking like you, no." But then I saw how she buzzed around, and I was like, "Oh, let me try it. Can't be no worse than what I already do." Yeah. Within 6 months, I had lost my apartment. My kids were barely in school because I couldn't get up and take them to school. DCF was being called. So my mother stepped in. Thank God for my mother. Regardless if she couldn't connect with me for whatever reason, she loved her grandchildren enough to step in.
Good.
So thank God for that. She got me back on track for a little bit.
Now let me ask you this. At this point now, you've progressed from sniffing to smoking crack. At what point did you feel or recognize, well, maybe this may be a problem here?
I didn't.
Okay. All right.
I didn't.
Okay.
Crack is just a whole different monster, right?
Okay.
So I understand the people that we work with when they say, it's calling me.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Okay.
It's just a whole different monster. It does call you in many different ways, and you can't resist.
Okay.
So I didn't think it was a problem, and when my kids went to my mother's, I was like, oh, freedom. I ain't got no responsibilities. I could sit up, I could smoke, I could do what I want to do. I did that, and I lost my apartment.
So even with that, you never thought this is an opportunity for me to get the help I need to work on me?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
I didn't think anything wrong with it. Truly, in hindsight, I didn't like myself enough, or I didn't think of myself worthy enough
Okay.
to ask for help or to go seek help.
Okay.
And, the disease of addiction just progressed
Mm-hmm.
and progressed and progressed to where, I move again and I'm living right across the street from my dealer.
Okay.
And it's a female, so I know she's not going to hurt me. It's a female,
Mm-hmm.
right? Her nephew's the delivery boy. And, I got some DTA. I got 2 kids, so I got a bunch of food stamps,
Mm-hmm.
and I get a little bit of money. And I prostitute myself, and I hadn't did that in a long time. But I needed to get high. I needed to smoke.
Okay.
So I'll give you a 50 if you do A, B, and C. I was like, well, I've done it before.
Okay.
So, yeah. If you don't know, one time without a condom can get you pregnant. I slept with him one time, and I popped up pregnant.
Okay.
My oldest daughter is about 10 years old, 9 going on 10. I didn't want to start over
Mm-hmm.
with another baby. So I tried to kill my youngest daughter by smoking crack, not eating, drinking, starving myself, just anything I could do, so I thought, to cause myself to have a miscarriage. Because, I'm not woman enough to step away from the crack table and go have an abortion.
I was going to ask you that. Some may say, why not just have an abortion?
Because I was too busy smoking.
Okay.
That was going to take time out of me getting high.
Okay.
And I figured it would be easier if I would just have an abortion.
Okay.
A miscarriage. Well, she made it here.
Okay. Because God had other plans.
She made it here. And I'll tell you, I didn't know it was God then. I didn't. I dreamt her name because I didn't have prenatal care because I'm too busy getting high.
Okay.
I dreamt it was a girl. I dreamt her name, and her name means with a purpose.
Come on now. Come on now.
So, I go on. I have her. I deliver her, and they brought her in, and I pushed the bassinet across the room. I wanted nothing to do with this little person. She's crying, blah, blah, blah. I turned my back to her. I wanted nothing to do with her. And, the nurses bring her back and put her in my arms, and I'd hold her, and I would talk to her. The nurse would leave. I'd put her back in the bassinet and push her back across the room. Now, back then, they must not have been testing the babies to see if there's cocaine or whatever in the system, because this little girl came home with me in 2 days.
Okay.
I'm not happy because she's interrupting my get high. Because my drug dealer seen me come home with the baby. She sent me a 8-ball over. get me started again, right? And I got started again, and I made in 30 days, the baby, my youngest was about a month. My oldest is about 10, and I made her mommy and big sister in literally like 12 hours.
Now, explain that to our audience. When you say you made her mommy and big sister in 12 hours, what do you mean by that?
So, she's the big sister,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, I'll babysit for a couple of hours. I saw that she could change a diaper, she could make a bottle, she could change her clothes and keep her content. I moved everything that was for that little infant out of my bedroom into her sister's room.
Okay.
And I went to smoking crack in my bedroom. I'd close the door and act like they weren't there. So she had no choice but to take care of a child while she's a child.
Okay.
I thought it was okay. I'm in the next room. If she cries, I can hear her. I've heard her plenty of times. I never got up from the crack table to go and see about her.
Okay.
But my oldest daughter tended to her. And I thought I was Mother of the Year, because I'm keeping my kids together. My son's in the house. The two girls are in the house. My son has a mental illness, and I ignored him.
Okay.
As his mental illness came about and had its onset, I just pushed him away, see ya, I can't deal with that. You're interrupting my time. And that cost me a good relationship with my child. And that was my road dog.
Okay.
And he had my back all the time. So when I pushed him away, then I go back to the lifestyle because I still want to get high, right?
Mm-hmm.
The little bit of money I'm getting from welfare is not enough. So I start walking the streets. I ain't got to worry about the baby because big sister got her. Now I'm bringing random men in my house where my two daughters are. I bring them in my room. Oh, let's go in this room. We're not going in that room. We're going in this room. And when you think your children are not looking, that's when they see the most.
Mm-hmm.
So I taught my oldest daughter how to use her body and how to look for love in all the wrong places, how to manipulate people by using her body to get what she thought she may need or want.
Okay. And will help the audience to understand when you say you taught her. Now, you taught her in the sense of her seeing you do this behavior.
Exposing her to it.
Okay, all right.
Exposing her to that. I never thought she was looking.
Okay.
I always thought the door was closed. But apartments are not built like old school houses. The walls are paper thin.
Mm-hmm.
So she would hear what's going on in the next room. And this would be her room. And I didn't think I was causing damage because it wasn't in front of her. Years down the line, I realized I caused a lot of damage. So I ended up losing that apartment because I'm too busy. I can't move from the crack table. And I move in with looking for love in all the wrong places.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking down the street. The guy had a cute little car. He said something slick to me. I fell for it. I don't know where my son is because I put him out and pushed him away. So I bring the two girls with me and we move in with him. So come to find out, he's a sex offender. And I exposed my two girls to him being a sex offender. And I would leave and go out at night and prostitute while I think he's asleep.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been told that anything happened. But the fact that I exposed them hurts me to my core. My mother stepped in and took the girls.
Okay.
And again, I felt like I was free and I could do what I wanted to do. Had no responsibilities. And that's exactly what I did. I ran. I started prostituting myself again. I started smoking crack. I want to say like 150 going north.
Okay.
All day, every day. Staying up for 5, 6, 8, 9 days. Being delirious because I'm not eating, I'm not hydrating myself. Being reckless. Below zero weather, I'm out there not knowing who I am. And the police having to take me to a mental institution. You know, so they say jails, institutions, and death. I've done some jail time. I've been in an institution, or institutions, and I got one foot in death's door. Being in the institution, I was 98 pounds soaking wet, frail. You could see my heartbeat in my back if I laid on my stomach. And yeah, that didn't stop me. I did my 30 days and I'm okay and I'm stable. I went right back to smoking crack and just running ragged. If I look back on it today, I was on a suicide mission.
Now, this is what I want us to get to. When did you have that wake-up call? Share with the audience what your wake-up call looked like.
So to be honest, I didn't have the wake-up call.
Okay.
Because, you know, I don't know how people are going to feel when I say this, but I'm such a crackhead. When I go out to turn tricks, I couldn't put my eyeliner on straight. It looked like I had lightning bolts. And I was wondering why people wouldn't stop for me. Well, I'd go like this, and all they see is, yeah, okay, we're not going to talk to her. And so I was too, lightning bolts, just lightning bolts. And I'm in the crack house, and I see a woman put her eyeliner on perfect and a nod. And I'm like, that's what I need. And she was like, well, you can't have none of this. And it went there, and my birthday was coming up. You know, that weekend, I was like, yep, I'm going to turn some tricks. I'm going to save some money. I'm going to get high, but I'm going to say, never really happens. But I was out running. And I got myself into some trouble with the police, and they took me down to Project Assert on a Thursday. My birthday was on a Saturday. And like I said, it wasn't my wake-up call, because my plan was to still smoke crack, drink, and I was going to incorporate opiates in my story.
Okay.
Well, thank God for God being God and laughing at my plan. Because I ended up in detox the day before I was going to execute my own plan.
Okay.
That wasn't my plan to go get clean. I just wanted to rest so I could get back out.
So let me help the audience to understand. So while you were in detox, your plan was to just take a little break,
Yep.
rejuvenate, and get back out there.
Absolutely.
But as you said to me, how did you say it to me? Something greater?
A power greater than me. A power greater than me. And I am not confused that there is something greater than me, because I wanted to get the lightning bolts off my face, and the only way I could do that was to incorporate opiates. And God said, no, child, you're going to kill yourself. So I went to detox the day before I could execute my plan. And when my birthday came around. I was 42 years old, and I hadn't used. So my clean date is my birthday.
Okay.
And I'm not confused that God said, I'm going to give you one more chance to get this thing called life right. You were reborn on the first day you were born. Like, get it right, little girl. And only by His mercy and His favor and His grace, I have not looked back. I have not looked back. I was telling your producer, like, when I came into recovery, it was such a continuum of care. Like, I had a detox, an intensive soap, a 30-day program, a 28-day program, therapeutic community, harm reduction, a recovery home. I had almost 3 years of a safety net to contain me until I could learn how to live life on life's terms without the use of a substance. Like, I feel true empathy for people trying to get it today.
Because we don't have that.
No.
We don't have that.
And, like I said, I'm not confused. Like, there's something out there greater than all of us. And He showed me favor that weekend. And I'm so grateful.
Can I just interject for a moment? It is my belief, and I may be wrong, and other people may not feel this way, but I truly feel that when we go through things, it's for a purpose. Because, see, understand this. If you had not gone through some of the stuff that you've gone through, you wouldn't be sitting here. You wouldn't be able, other people wouldn't be able to relate to you. You wouldn't be able to do the work that you do. And see, I know how you get down, okay? Because I witnessed it, and I know how you reach people, okay? You reach people in ways that other people can't. And I've seen this firsthand.
Yeah, I believe that's why God gave me another chance, right? Like, I have to share me. My purpose today is, and I feel like this, my purpose is to help the next woman out of the hells of active addiction. I need to hold my hand out. I need to allow her to grab on. And I need to help her up out of that hell. And I need to love on her until she can love on herself, right? Because somebody poured into me and loved on me. When I didn't like me, I didn't love me, I was disgusted with me. And these women just loved me unconditionally. I was disrespectful and arrogant and mean.
Trying to push them away.
And they still loved me. I tried to walk out of treatment. They was like, go ahead. So I, arrogant. That's why y'all don't know what you're doing, no way. And but I ain't had nowhere to go. I sat on their front steps. And they left me out there for like 3 hours. And I started crying because I didn't have nowhere to go. And they was like, get your behind back in here. And I really feel like that was my true turning point of recovery. And I met some women that loved me. One of them was your guest. And I got a sponsor. Like, there's many pathways to this recovery thing.
Share some of those pathways.
So, you have celebration recovery, you have refuge recovery, Dharma recovery, Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, medication-assisted treatment, faith-based, celebration. Like, there are many pathways, right? I'm a NA baby.
Okay.
I come from an abstinence background.
Okay.
Like, you don't use nothing no matter what.
Right.
That's where I come from. But when I was using, those were real drugs. We just added something to it. What they're using today, people can't kick on a couch. They will die.
Let's talk about that. So that's when we get into the harm reduction. Am I correct? Let's talk about that a little bit, because you know how we met, and the harm reduction, of course, when you're in school, you hear about it, you know about it, but like I've said on the show before, this is my first time being up close and personal with harm reduction. I'm from that old school with, like you said, abstinence. But this is new. Well, it's new to me. What is your real take on harm reduction? Because I know that, it goes back and forth. I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. He's completely, well, I can't say he's completely against harm reduction, but he's also from that old, school frame of mind, abstinence. Give your input on harm reduction.
So I want to say I didn't believe in harm reduction.
Okay.
I didn't. But what I've come to see and understand is that people were dying without the help of some kind of medication.
Okay.
The withdrawal was just way too much for their body. Now, we're addicts, right? So we're always going to say we need more than what we need. So I feel like it's on the medical professional or the healthcare person to help a person regulate what kind of medication they're getting.
Okay.
But I feel like the addiction field has become such a business that they don't care about the person. If I say I'm still craving, I could be lying. But if I tell you that, you need to ask me some questions to make sure that I'm telling you the truth.
Now, what are some questions that you feel that should be asked?
So what are you feeling when you're craving? Around what time of day do you crave? Because there's a thing called split dose. So you get half your dose in the morning and then half your dose in the evening, and that should carry you the full 24 hours.
Okay.
But if I'm just bumping you up every week another 10, 20 milligrams, by the time I turn around, you can't keep your head out of your crotch.
Right.
Because you're over-medicated. Not because you're high, but because you're over-medicated. Some of the responsibility goes on an active addict. It does. But then some of the responsibility goes on the person writing the script.
Absolutely. Now, what do you feel that we can do as a community, as a provider, to make changes where changes need to be made? Or do you feel that there's anything that we can do?
Well, there's always something we can do. So I come from where I could be 2 blocks over and my grandmother could yell my name and I could hear her. So I have a big mouth like that. We need to start having a voice for that population that doesn't have a voice.
Okay.
I feel like we need to be able to advocate for our patients. And our patients may get angry with us in the beginning. But down the line, they'll see. But, go to a clinic with them and be like, she can barely make it here. Like, what are we doing? And have a conversation with the healthcare provider or whatever clinic or whatever doctor is writing the script. Like, they have to start looking. I say they have to, but they don't have to.
But you would hope that they would at some point.
And look at the person not as a dollar sign, but as a human being. And I feel like that's where the healthcare system fails patients.
Okay.
Because it's a dollar sign. They can bill for them.
Okay.
They ain't trying to get them well. They're trying to, this is my opinion, just my opinion. I feel like, keyword feel, I feel like they're only trying to get them better. Because if they get them well, then their disease of addiction is arrested. But if they get them better, they're still on shaky ground. So when they're overwhelmed, they go back to what's comfortable and they repeat the cycle all over again. And it generates more dollars.
Yes.
That's my opinion.
Now, what would you say to a young woman that look at you and say, I have experienced a third of what she said tonight? What would you say to her? She's single mom, no support, and actively using.
I'd give
Homeless.
her a hug. I'd give her a hug.
Okay.
And tell her this is just the beginning of her journey.
Okay.
And she doesn't have to walk it alone. But I feel like any kind of addiction, whether it's looking for love in all the wrong places, whether it's sex, whether it's medication, whether it's illicit substances, whether it's shopping or TV, any kind of addiction is isolation.
Mm-hmm.
And the opposite of isolation is connection. So if I
like that.
hug her, I've given her some kind of connection. And I've done that multiple times. I know how it feels to look for love in all the wrong places.
Yes.
And I'm not saying I'm the perfect place to find love, but I can offer a genuine love and don't want nothing in return, but to see you get better until you get well. I'm out there in that area every day and was out there when COVID was spiked, right? Don't get too close. Don't touch. Don't do what I do, please. But I didn't listen to that. And only by God's grace have I not had COVID. But I hugged people. Because they already feel like they're not worthy.
Right.
Like people cross the street when they're It ain't a long hug, just be like, you're going to be okay.
Right. And sometimes that makes a world of difference. We don't sometimes people don't understand that. But a simple smile, just to show someone that you genuinely care, goes a long way.
I saw that with you, with our mutual patient. Like, you just wrapped your arms around her that day. And the freedom that she got by purging them tears and letting them fall. And I think that scared her. Because we haven't been able to get her purged like that again. But all you did was just wrap your arms around her. And she just released. So you're absolutely right. Like, just that human touch can make a world of difference to somebody.
And like you said earlier, some people may say that's unorthodox. But it is what it is when it comes. That's how I feel about it. If I can reach someone in that way and they are comfortable with it, it is what it is.
You're absolutely right, because I always ask, can I give you love?
Right.
If they say no, I'm like, okay.
Right.
I love you anyways.
Right.
And I had a woman ask me, how can you tell me that? You don't know me. I said, because I love me today, I can love you. And she was just like, okay. I don't think she understood, but through my journey of recovery and looking at me and learning about some things from generational trauma, I understand some things now about me, about my family.
Okay.
And I really, truly love me today. I like me all the time. Let's say I love me all the time, and I like me 97% of the time.
Okay, so that's not bad.
Because the 3% I'm acting out.
Okay.
Like, I have my insecurities. I have my arrogance. My ego takes over sometime. And when my ego takes over, I'm easing God out. So he's nowhere in the picture. And then the little girl shows up and throws temper tantrums.
Right, right.
I'm still trying to heal her fractures.
Right. And you know what I found from my own experiences? That little girl, because I have that little girl, and sometimes she'll show up randomly when I'm like, girl, what are you doing here? I don't need you here. But she shows up anyway. And I'm learning that that's the hardest person to heal.
I don't even, what I learned in treatment was find out what your core is. Mm-hmm. And my core is her, mm-hmm. from like 8 to 10. Mm-hmm. But the 13-year-old that went, into fantasy, into TV, protects her, right? Mm-hmm. Then I have the 14-year-old that left home and thought she was grown, that don't let nobody near them too.
Okay.
Like, I can't find I can reach it and I know it's there, but I can't hug it. I can't hug it. And I'm working on that.
Okay. It's soon time for us to wrap it up. So before we do, I would like to for you to leave some parting words with our guests. You can look into that camera there and say whatever's on your heart or mind to leave with our audience.
If you're part of the community, we're all human. And if we want our community to be better, we have to treat people better. If we don't treat them as a human being, they'll never come to us when they're ready to get support. And always remember, you've had your struggles. They may not be to the extent of the next person.
Yes.
But you've had struggles. Your life has not been picture perfect. Nobody's is. But don't make somebody feel like they're less than.
Yes.
Like God is good. He will do it all the time.
Okay. It was truly an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being open. Like you say, you're an open book, for sharing your story with us.
I just want to help somebody. Like,
Yes.
the Me Too movement, it's not about a Me Too movement. It's just letting somebody know that they don't have to journey alone. Like, you can find me, social media, Ursel Hughes. I'm open. I'm try to be available for whoever reaches out.
All right. Well, I thank everyone for tuning in to another episode, another great episode of The Best Is Yet to Come. Before I close out, Ursula has given her information, and I just want you all to think about what I said in the beginning of the show, because we have to do this together. One person can't do it. Two people can't do it. It's going to take us collectively coming together. And people don't like to talk about money, but there are small agencies out there that's trying to get the job done, but financially they need support. So think about that. And as in always, I bid you peace, love, and blessing. And remember, the best is yet to come. Thank you.